Welcome everyone to Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist. On today's show, what type of income property should be considered? Part 4 of our series on real estate investing with best-selling author, real estate economist, and host of the Real Wealth Show, Kathy Fettke. Kathy, welcome again to segment 4. We're talking about what kind of property. You know, you've drilled me down to residential now for the last 3 segments. Now I'm thinking like, okay, there are other ways of doing this. Yeah. Residential isn't the only way to play. So let's talk about the first one that I thought you would come in here and talk about anyways, which would be commercial property. I thought that was what I'm used to at REITs. I'm used to that as an advisor. Yeah. I'm not used to the residential home issue as being a direct owner. So talk about commercial.
Sure. Well, you know, commercial is a wonderful choice because of the triple net lease, where that basically puts all the expenses onto the tenant. So commercial property can be a wonderful investment. However, you just need to make sure that you understand that the economy is changing, and it's changing all the time, and that affects commercial. So for example, if you weren't staying on top of things and you invested in a Border, you know, if you were renting to a Borders or a Barnes and Noble, you know, or Walmart, there's a lot of areas where things are changing and those big box stores are shutting down, and that was maybe the key tenant, and it could just leave a strip mall completely wiped out. So you just have to be very aware that you're in the right commercial property or the right REIT, and that you understand the shifts that are happening today.
I think part of our consumers who would say, Steve, I just heard something that was kind of golden the way she explained this. Triple net lease, which is putting the onus on the actual leasee. Now, what does that mean? What triple net am I not having to worry about? It's downloaded to my person who's leasing my building.
Yeah, it just again depends on your agreement with them, but that basically means that they pay for anything they do, the taxes, insurance. I mean, they just pay for everything.
Maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, maintenance.
They pay for maintenance. You're not calling them up, and they're not calling the landlord now.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, as long as you understand what's happening to your market. So for an example, Reno, Nevada is one of our hot markets, and I just had somebody reach out to me and say, you must be crazy. There's nothing but gambling in Reno. And I say, it's people like you that make me wealthy, because Reno suffers from a bad reputation. That's why I love it, because it's changing. And we have Tesla moving there, doing their battery operations, and Amazon and Google. But the key here is that because Amazon has just taken off and people want to do online shopping, that's affecting commercial. That's affecting retail for sure. So you have to understand the shift that's happening. Now in Reno, they're putting in warehouses because people want to shop online, so they don't have to go to the store. They just order out of the warehouse, and the warehouse needs to be close to a big metro area. And Reno's close to the San Francisco Bay Area.
So if you thought in your mind that Amazon, and well, let's just say online shopping period, is the way of the future, it's already probably happening. Yeah. And you may be looking at strip malls, and you may say, I don't know anymore. Big box may not be able to carry the day any longer. Big box stores can't. And on top of that, I don't know if mom and pop can survive such an issue, a smaller shop. I just was on Amazon.com for Christmas. I blew through my list like there was no tomorrow. It was just easy, delivered to my door, and because we have a distribution center here in Phoenix, I had some stuff come the same day.
It's unbelievable. No, there's nothing like it, and you don't have to wait in line, and you're not alone. So people need to understand that if you're going to be investing in commercial, it needs to be something that can't be outsourced to Amazon. And you know what can't be outsourced? Medical. And you know what else? Massages, nail salons, people, restaurants. These are things that are going to stay, you know, unless Amazon wants to deliver your food in the same day, which they can.
I'm sure. What about multifamily? Because, you know, that's another thing. What do you mean by multifamily? I know what I thought I meant, but after looking at part of your book here, I'm not really sure. What do you mean by multifamily?
It's anything beyond single family. So a single family residential rental unit would be a home. Basically, it's just a house or a condo or a townhome or something like that. But single family is usually its own unit. And a 1 to 4 unit would still be financed as residential. So you could still go to your lender, and this is a great way for people to get started who don't have a lot of money, is to just get an FHA loan, get a fourplex. An FHA loan, you only have to put 3.5% down, and you can buy a fourplex, rent out the other 3 units, and live in one, and now you own a multifamily. But if we're talking about apartments, then that is also, I mean, a lot of people love apartments. The thing is, they're not as high yielding right now as single family. And that's an anomaly. That has never been the case, where you can get a higher cap rate on a single family rental. But a lot of people still do prefer the apartments because it's everything in one place. You have all these units in one place and one loan on all of that. But what a lot of people don't know is that you can get up to 10 residential loans on single family through Fannie or Freddie, through just conventional finance at these 4% interest rates. So, and it's easy to do.
Well, when I'm looking at the cash flow, when you list, commercial, multifamily, single family, and then you say which one yields the highest cash flow, which is all I care about, right?
Yeah.
I like appreciation just like anybody else, but cash flow, do you have a little pick here? You just said, if I thought I heard you just say, for the first time, we have another anomaly in real estate. We're actually getting more rate of return or cash flow or return on equity on my single house than I am on my fourplex, on my apartment complex. Yeah. This is all changing.
And it depends on the market. Obviously, a single-family home in the San Francisco Bay Area isn't going to give you any yield, but in certain areas, the areas that we go after, you can get double-digit returns, and I mean net. I'm not talking about, I hear some of the hedge fund guys say, hey, we get an 8% gross return. I say that means nothing because I want to know net. I want to know what you're putting in your pocket. So you can actually get a net of over 10%, in some places as high as 14%, not in low-income areas, which is normally the case. You usually get a higher return in a low-income area. That's not the case. You can be in a middle-class neighborhood and still get double-digit returns in certain parts of the country. It's limited, but it's out there.
Okay, so let's say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, and I'm looking at the single family, right? And I have my monetary issues. I've looked at population, job growth. I've done all the checklists that you have. And now you bring up this last point of it says, oh yeah, well, what's the maintenance? How low is the maintenance schedule for this? So how do I determine the future problems of we'll just use a single resident as an example. Yeah. How do I anticipate that?
You need to get a really good inspection on that home. It's the same thing if you were buying a new car versus an old car. You would look at that old car and find out what's wrong with it and what expenses you might have. If you buy a new car, you pretty much know that you're going to be okay for a while. And so, one of the things that we've helped investors do is buy properties that have already been renovated, totally fixed up like new. So you can say, all right, this new roof has a warranty on it. This new
transferable, I'm assuming.
Yes, absolutely. The HVAC, has a warranty on it. It's all been replaced, so that you can really get a better gauge of what your expenses will be, and versus you just buy something online, you get a broker, you found a property, and you don't really know what you're getting. Then you could be nickeled and dimed for a long time, and you might get a lot of cash flow, but it all goes back to the expenses on the house. You don't want that.
All right. Well, let's go back to this, because I think most of our viewers are going to say, yeah, I know what an inspection report is. I've sold a home before. Yeah. I bought a home. I want a person that's a real detailed person, great reputation for hunting down the issues, a little itemized, maybe a bit anal in their thinking. So I go through that, and I'm looking at, okay, they didn't renovate, because it'd be ideal. Yeah, everybody does a great job. They renovated before they put it on the market, but it doesn't always happen.
Oh, it never happens.
No.
If somebody's selling a property, they want to make the most, that they can make, the most profit they can make. So they might just do a lipstick renovation. They might just make it look good. So never buy a property without doing an inspection, never. And then go through that inspection with the inspector and say, when is this going to be replaced? Or need to be replaced, and how much is that going to cost me, so that you can work that into the numbers. Now, like you said, most people don't want to do that. They want passive. And so there's this new thing called turnkey rental property. And the idea is that it has already been fixed, and it is warranted, just like I said. The problem is there hasn't been a standard on what that means. And so a lot of companies out there have been calling themselves turnkey, and let me tell you, most of them are not. We turn down 9 out of 10 because they really aren't. They don't meet our very high standards. So we give to people a list of what turnkey should be. We've set the standard for that because we expect that a passive investor should be able to buy something that legitimately is almost like new, that is like a new home.
Well, when I'm looking at these properties, this is what we're talking about as an introduction into real estate investing. I'd love to use the word passive, but sometimes it doesn't sound that passive to me. But we're talking about whether it's commercial, multifamily, family, and we're talking about outsourcing our maintenance issues and our management issues. I mean, I'm all into making it as clean as I can. Yeah. But some people, like you said, are hands-on. So if you're thinking about this, again, you can contact Kathy at her business and figure out, hey, is this for me? And she'll help you walk through it. Listen, don't forget to watch part 5 of our series on real estate investing, tax savings with income property. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or your financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game. Oh my